command. It basically allows you to change the schema of the table without actually dropping the table again and recreating that table. So so basically it supports a variety of operations. You can rename a table, add or remove constraints to a particular attribute, add or remove table columns, or you can even change the type of a column or change the default values of a column. You can maybe set a table attribute to be null or to be nullable, or you can say that it cannot be nullable and things like that. So this is quite useful when you are migrating a table into another schemas, because that would allow you to change the table at one point in a time and then migrate the whole thing together. Support for altered table varies across database systems, but mostly it is standard. But how they approach this particular problem might be different, and some newer databases, all newer databases would have it. Some very old databases or database systems will not have this. So let's talk about alter table then. So an example would be, let's say that I want to rename my book review table to something else. So let's say that suddenly I want to allow not just book reviews, but other reviews as well. My company started selling, apart from books, my company started selling, let's say, toasters as well. So I just want to change the review table's name to, let's say, item review. So I can do that by just saying alter table book review, rename to item review. And then basically the schema of the table gets renamed. The hardcore way of doing this would be to drop that table entirely, create a new table called item review, and load all of those data values back into item review, right? But this does not require all those things. We can just say alter table book review, rename to. We can also drop columns if we want. So drop a particular column. Let's say that we don't want to have the book image column anymore because toaster images are not that useful. So essentially alter table book review, drop column book image, right? We can also add constraints to a particular attribute. We can say that, you know what, alter table book review, book ratings can only be between 1 and 5. So add a check constraint there to book review. Okay. So there are certain issues when we talk about alterations. So the first thing is what happens. So that we say that we can alter a table, and we also said that we can drop a column if we want. But what would happen? My internet connection became unstable for a second. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, it will cut up for about like 10 seconds.
Oops. So essentially we can also add, so what I was saying last was I can also add check constraints to my table attributes as well. So add check book rating between 1 and 5. So the main thing that we wanted to wanted to look at was, yes, alter table is a very powerful command, but it also allows us to do certain things that we might find weird. So what if we want to drop a column and that particular column is a primary key? So what happens then? All the tables that are referencing that particular table get screwed up, right? So in general, if that is the case, if you're trying to perform an alter table with a primary key, so dropping a column that is the primary key, and that particular table is being referenced by other tables, an alter command would not allow it. It will totally disallow that particular operation and say it can't be done. However, another thing to note is if that particular column is referenced by not a table but a view, if it's referenced by a view, then it sort of allows it. And we can also specify cascade delete commands to that table as well, right? Newly added columns must have a default value. Let's say that instead of dropping a table, we want to add a new, instead of dropping a column, we want to add a new column to our table. So that means that I suddenly have, let's say I had this table that had 3 columns, and suddenly I'm adding one more column to my table, right? So let's say I just found out the user's phone numbers and I want to add those to my table as well. So In that scenario, your data would basically, your table would basically need to have a default value for that new column. By default, it becomes a null value. However, if you set that new column to be not null, in that scenario, you have to provide a new default value for your entire table. Just a heads up that changing the table schema is very expensive. As you can imagine, it requires porting an entire schema to another schema just by maintaining the data as well. And adding a new constraint to your table would require a new table scan. So basically, if I add a new constraint to my table, so for example, check book rating is between 1 and 5, I would require that it would be required of the database to scan the entire table again to make sure that no book ratings are like 7 or -5, things like that, right? So it requires a new table scan. And if that is the case, it becomes quite expensive if we have a huge enough table. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Um, Temporary tables. So we did talk about this a bit before, but in essence, temporary tables are basically computed results that you store in some table, and that table can then be purged after the session is done. So if you remember in your relational algebra slides, we had that left hand arrow operation, right? So creating a new temporary table is basically this left hand arrow thing. So essentially it creates a new variable and assigns the result of our relational algebra operation into that new variable. So SQL provides two types of temporary tables, that is temporary tables, and the other one is global temporary tables. So temporary tables are usually there for a session, and after the session, the temporary tables stop existing. However, we also have the concept of global temporary tables, which are a bit weird. So these are a bit weird because these are not your traditional global variables. So in this scenario, when we say that this particular table is a global temporary table, that means that imagine the scenario, for example, let's say that you have this database and there are 5 people all accessing the same database. So each of them have their own sessions, right? That is a possibility. So we have 5 people and each of them are using their own sessions. And if they use global temporary tables across, in that scenario, each session would have their own data. So the contents of the table are going to be per client. However, the temporary table would have a global name and a schema. So every client would have the same schema. Compared to that, a temporary table, usually a local temporary table or just in general temporary table, is basically local to each client session, and every client session would have their own schema and their own data values as well. Okay. So a temporary table is purged after the session ends. However, we can also purge the data if and when we want to. So we have that ability as well. Okay, so in order to create a temporary table, the syntax is pretty much the same as that of create table. So basically, instead of create table, we just say create temporary table. So create temporary table, blah, 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 this thing, right? So that is basically the schema of a temporary table. Okay, let's see. Oh, right. So insert into. So we can also create a new table and assign the results of a computed value into that new table. And that is also allowed by a normal table as well. But in a sense, this is usually for used for a temporary table. So insert into temporary table this name, select and extract month as from sales time, count star from blah, 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 right? So this is your select query that we have. And we are saying is, what we are saying is create a new table called sales by month and essentially insert into that table whatever is the result of this query. So this is the first time that we are seeing a query like this, but essentially this is the first time we are seeing insert into statements here. But essentially what this does is creates a temporary table and then assigns that value. So that's simple enough. And we can also perform queries upon those temporary tables as well. Okay. Flushing the contents of your temporary table. So you can say that we can write the data back or delete the rows once the session is complete. We have two options, basically on complete, delete, on commit, delete rows. So that is after the end of your transaction or your session, your table gets deleted. How, or you can also say, one is after the end of your transaction, you delete the rows, or you maintain the rows after each query, but you want to maintain the rows for your entire session. And once the session ends, you want to delete that table, right? So for that, you would say on commit preserve rows. So imagine that you open up a session and you do multiple things and you want to maintain that temporary table across different queries in the same session. So for that, you would say on commit preserve rows. However, if you want to say that, this particular temporary table is just a temporary variable, I'm going to use it for this particular query, and after that, I don't need it anymore, then you would say on commit delete rows, right? Okay. So essentially, in order to specify that, you just say create temporary table, blah, 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 on commit delete rows or on commit preserve rows. Okay. So temporary tables usually improve the performance of certain queries. We will look at an example of why that might be. But essentially, the main use cases for temporary tables are to store useful results that are very complicated to compute, right? So that is very expensive to compute. You store those results so that you can use those again and again every time without having to recompute those results. You can populate a temporary table using insert. So we talked about that. So insert into that thing from this select statement. There are other examples as well. You can say that create, so for MySQL and Postgres and Oracle, you can say create temporary table, table name as, and then you have your entire select statement. So that creates a table with that table name. And note how that we are not providing any schema for this table, right? The schema is lifted directly from this select statement. So we have this select statement that returns a table of values, and we just say create temporary table, table name as this particular table. Another syntax is select blah, blah, blah. You get the select syntax, and then you say into temporary table, table name, and so both syntaxes are available, I think, in MySQL as well. And both syntaxes can be used to create non-temporary tables as well. So by that, I mean that you can create global temporary tables as well, or you can just create a table as well. So create table, table name as select statement. That also works, but now it would create your non-temporary traditional table. Okay. So let's finish up this set of slides with this example. So here we have this large enough query. This query doesn't really matter that much, but the main thing was, so this shows why temporary tables can be useful essentially. Let's say that we have this large query that has two inner queries, right? So we have this one inner query that is this, essentially select something, concat something, blah. Right. And we have this other query